Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishmas Imi Marosirus Basmordechai. Top line on Chav Aleph Amud Beis. Kiddush Yodav L'Trumas Hadeshen. The guy goes up. We're not going to go through this whole thing again, but he goes up he takes the ashes from where? From where the fire is, not from. And then there's a whole debate: is he wearing his big dekun or not? So Gershi wrote something, the Rambam, that says that this picture is right. He should be wearing a special big dekun, not the regular, and not his weekdays. That's why it's green. Anyways, he takes the thing. He has to wash his hands before that. What time of the day does he wash his hands? Kreis HaGever. Kreis HaGever is what? Before Alois. The problem is that according to Rebbe, once Alois comes, you have to wash your hands again. So you have to wash your hands by Alois. So you have to wash your hands, you don't have to wash your hands. According to Reb Shimon Elazar, if you wash your hands once, it's good for 10 days. So why does he have to wash his hands before Alois, before Kreis HaGever? What's going on here? So we had two pshatim. One pshat is that according to Rebbe, and that's what basically we finished off the shir yesterday, we were just doing Chazarah, that according to Rebbe, yes, you have to wash your hands again by Alois, but because Kreis HaGever is so close to Alois, and the whole reason why you have to wash your hands again by Alois is because it's a derabanan, so we let it slide. He washes his hands once, right before Alois, and that's good enough for us. Or the pshat is that according to Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, you're right, you don't have to wash your hands again. So why does this guy wash his hands right before Kreis HaGever? Because he's brand new. This is his first time he's washing his hands. Had he washed his hands the day before, 10 days before, it would have gone straight. Had he not gone to the bathroom, whatever, it would have been fine. But he just showed up, he's brand new. So now let's see inside. The Gemara makes a little bit of cheshbon here. He washed his hands right before he did Trumas Hadeshen, which is to remove one shovelful of the coals and put it on that corner right here on the chart. He puts it in that special place of the Trumas Hadeshen, and it gets absorbed into the ground. L'machar ein tzarich l'kadesh. The next day, he doesn't have to wash his hands. Shekvar kiddush mitchilas avoda. Because he already washed his hands once. Now, right over here, we have a problem. Over here, the issue is, why doesn't Rabbi Yochanan say, take the water, after you're mekadesh yadayim, take the kiyar, and drop it in there? The underlying question is, why doesn't Rabbi Yochanan say that you have to put the water back, the kiyar back into the ground? Right by Kreis HaGever, you remove it, he washes his hand, then what? If the water stays outside, the kiyar stays above ground, what's going to happen? It's going to become possible by Elis HaShachar. We said once Elis HaShachar comes, it becomes possible for all the avodas. So it says the Gemara Bishleim Rava the Moikim Laihi Kirib Elazar Reb Shimon. So if we go back and say, okay, that whole thing with the deshen, we said, oh, you go like Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. Reb Elazar Reb Shimon says, you wash your hands once, you're good forever, until you need to do it again. But as long as you're not Mesiach Das, you're good. So that you don't have to put it back into the ground. Why? Because it goes like Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon. You don't have to worry about it. Hak Rebbe, the Brisa, they have to put it back into the ground. Goes like Rebbe, because Rebbe says by Elis HaShachar, it starts all over again. So you better put it back into the ground. Well, we'll just say, according to the Brisa that we just learned of the top, you don't have to put the water back in. Why? Because it goes like Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon, that he says that there's no such thing as alois causing tumah. One time you wash your hands, so the kiyar also there's no tumah. The brisa that says that you have to put it back in goes like Rebbe. He says there's a problem like the shachar. That's good according to Rava. Ela Abayo, but according to Abayo, the moikim like a Rebbe, and he says, what was the pshat? You could say like Rebbe, that you have to wash your hands by Alois. When Alois comes, every kohen has to wash his hands again. The reason why this kohen doesn't have to wash his hands is because he did it by Kreis HaGever, which is a few minutes before Alois. So we don't make him do it again. So then, how do we explain this? We have a contradiction. According to Rav, it's fine. We don't have a contradiction. One goes like Rebbe, one goes like the Brisa, or Shimon ben Elazar. But according to Abaya, we have a contradiction. They're both Rebbe, and one place it says you don't have to put the kiyar into the ground. One place says you have to put the kiyar into the ground. What's going on here? So there's not a contradiction, says the Gemara, because even the place that says, it doesn't say you don't have to put it in the ground, we're going to explain that you put it back into the ground. So there's no contradiction. How come Rebbe over there holds that you have to put it back into the ground? By the Strumas Hadeshen, it doesn't mention anything of putting it into the ground. So the Gemara, no. You're right, it doesn't say it. Because we're talking about the Kayin, we're not talking about the actual Kiyur. We're saying this Kayin doesn't have to wash his hands again. What you have to do with the kiyur is a different place. We're not going into it. It happens to be that he holds over here also. You have to take the kiyur, make sure it goes right back into the ground before it's too late. The Mesalik Leiba Hadar Meshakale. Yes, you're right. He pulls it out of the ground, washes his hands real quick to do the Trumas Hadeshen, puts it back into the ground. Why doesn't it mention it? We're not talking about the kiyur. We're talking about the human being. The human being doesn't have to wash his hands. So when it says Eini Mekadesh, when you say the words in Hebrew, Eini Mekadesh means you shouldn't use the water. So l'chayra it says you don't have to. Why not? If you're putting it back into the ground, it seems like you do have to wash your hands. No, says the Gemara, Ein Tzarech Lekadesh. It means not that Eini Mekadesh, not that you can't use the water. Ein Tzarech. You don't have to do any kedusha to it. It's fine. The water is good. It's a different way of learning Eini Mekadesh. The opposite, basically. You're taking those same words and saying something the opposite. Says the Gemara, so you're telling me now that we went through a whole thing. What could you use this water for? You could use it for the zrika? No. You could use it for the imurim? Yes. But now we're saying that this water is perfect. You don't even have to put it into the ground. So in other words, this water should be good even for matirim, even for zrika. If so, we have a problem. Hainu the Rav Chizda. That's exactly what Rav Chizda said. Rav Chizda said there's only one shear. There's only one period of time where the water goes bad, and that is alois. And during the night, you could still do matirim. If you wash your hands from water that was left overnight, not by alois, but in the middle of the night, you found the water and you wash your hands, come to the base of Mikdash 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning, you wash your hands from the kiyur. Could you or could you not do zrika the next day? According to Rav Chizda, you could. It only becomes Pasul at Alois. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, basically, we're talking about Rabbi Yochanan. According to Rabbi Yochanan, you could wash your hands in the middle of the night and do zrika. What's the problem? If so, that's exactly Rav Chizda. So what's the difference between Rabbi Yochanan and Rav Chizda? Iki benayu mitzvah shikua. Yesterday, with the first line of this Amud, it says Gzera shikua. Now we're saying something different. According to Rav Chizda, there's no need to put the water back into the ground, the kiyur into the ground. According to the Rabbi Yochanan, there's a mitzvah to put it back into the ground. They both hold that it's alois hashachar that causes the water to go bad. But the question is, what do you do during the night? Should I put this kli back into the ground or not? According to Rabbi Yochanan, there's a mitzvah, put it back into the ground. Says Gemara, Meisvei. On Rav Chizda, again, according to Rav Chizda, if the kiyur stayed out of the ground overnight, it's fine to use the water for everything, for zrika, for kmitza, for emurim, for everything. It says, we're talking about the person who's doing this Trumas Hadeshen. What time of the night is it? It's the middle of the night. Kreis HaGever is pitch dark outside. Only the rooster knows that it's going to be daytime soon. So how do people see the Kayin? How do they know he's about to do the Davai? There's no lights. The only light that you have there is the little fire on the Mizbeach. Didn't even hear him. Until they hear that sound, that winch that you could hear all the way to Yerichai, 10 kilometers or wherever far away it is from Yerushalayim. And then the Kohanim say, so when they hear that winch, so what does that mean? Is it going up or coming down? Which one is it? Up. That means that the water is underground. So it's a kasha Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda says the water doesn't have to be underground. Rav Chizda says it's not a problem until Alois Shachar. We're talking about Kreis HaGever, which is before Alois Shachar. All of a sudden they hear that noise. Every night they hear the noise. And they come running to help. Why is the water on the ground? So you see, Rav Chizda is wrong. The water does have, like Rabbi Yochanan, the water has to be on the ground. Isn't talking about that he's raising it? If he's raising it, that means the water's on the ground. The noise that they hear is when it's going into the ground. That's the Gemara. The Gemara understands like it has some clicking sound. It's like a winch catches it on a tooth. Every time it goes kick, 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 kick. But on the way down, there's no teeth. You release it. You just let it go. Says Gemara, no. They even when they lower it nice and slow, and they use that wheel. The simple pshat is that it's not even a different pshat. Chumarte is just another way of saying the wheel. It seems from places it is a little different. The reason is that the people in the Beis Hamikdash should hear the sound and they'll come running. Ask the Gemara, what do you need the pulley system to make a noise? Every generation it was the same name. Once the name went in, his name is Gvini. Gvini came and he used to announce it. He had a strong voice. So for years, the next guy is also called Gvini. Gvini Krois. So what do you need? You know that guy that needs the 2 alarms? Ask my wife about it. The 2 alarms, every 2 minutes another one is going off. The Sham Mahayasi. Some people need this one. Guva. If the kiyar needs minimum amount of water, how much? Enough for 4 kohanim. But you don't wash your hands and feet with the water if it's below 4 kohanim. Shenemar. That's 2. Ubanov. The minimum of banov is another 2. A total of 4. Every kli in the Beis Hamikdash, you could use it for kiddush yadayim raglayim. Bein sheish b'hem revius, bein she'ein b'hem revius. Even less than a revius. Less than a revius. How can you wash 4 people, hands and feet, with less than a revius? Ubevad shu kli sharis. As long as it's one of the holy kelim in the Beis Hamikdash, then you can wash your hands. So why do you say that there's a minimum? It's referring to a special case where they cut a hole in the kiyar and they put a new kli in it, something like this. Make a hole in the kli and you put another kli in it. This small kli doesn't have to contain a revius because it's receiving the water from the actual kiyar. The water from the kiyar is flowing through that kli out. Says the Gemara, isn't there a problem that says in the pasuk that you have to wash your hands from the kiyar itself and not from a kli sharis? Says the Gemara, Yirchatzu, the rabbis kli sharis. What does that mean? If you look at this pasuk Amud Aleph says virachatzu, pasuk Amud Beis says Yirchatzu. The pasuk Amud Beis didn't have to say the word Yirchatzu. It's understood that virachatzu. They're washing their feet. It's to include another funny case where if they put a kli into the wall, let's say there's a hole, I don't know what, so they plugged it up with a kli. You could also use that for the rechitza. Maybe yirchatzu comes to include also, your negel vaser kli that you have at home. Your washing, what do they call it? The washing cup. Yes. Just whatever it is, a washing cup that you got nice silver cup, but it's not kodesh. Maybe you can use that. No way could you use something like that. I have a simple logic to tell you this. It says mikanoi. Mikanoi, I'm asking, no, it's not, it doesn't say mikanoi, but kanoi is this. Here, if we look at a kiyar, this is the kiyar. Underneath the kiyar, it has some sort of base. Either it was flipped this way or flipped this way. So let's say it was flipped this way. But if you fill that up with water, you cannot use that water for the kiyar. You can't use it to make your hands kaddish. So if you can't use that kli on the bottom to make your hands kaddish, how are you going to make a washing cup from your sink? Kaddish. There's kedusha to the base. The kohen when he makes the kelim kaddish, he takes the shemen hamishcha, the oil that you use to make the kohanim kaddish, he pours it all over the kiyar, all over the kanoi also. Yet you can't use the bottom part to be mekadosh the hands and the feet. The Sanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Yochol yekanei mekadosh kederch shakir mekadosh. I would think that the bottom could be mekadosh yadayim b'raglayim. Tamad lo yimer v'sisa kir nechoshes v'kanei nechoshes. You should make the top, you should make the bottom out of copper. There's no connection between the two. The top and the bottom, only for one thing, that they're made from the same material, but not for the halachas of kiddush yadayim reglayim. What's the connection? How can you bring a raya from a washing cup or a plastic cup from the base? The base is not made to have water, to contain water. The base is just there to be a pedestal for the kiyar. So that's why you can't use it to wash your hands and your feet. So the Gemara says that's a very good kasha. Ela mimenu lemuti klichol. Here, so we have the pasuk here. This is the pasuk rachatzu yirchatzu. Look what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of the rachatzu yirchatzu. We're going to go to mimenu. We're going to another word, mimenu. Only from the kir do you wash your hands and feet, and not from anything else. So maybe only from this you can wash your hands, but not from the klisharis, the other vessels in the Beis Hamikdash should be puzzled. And we said the other vessels are kosher. This is Gemara Rabbi Rachman yirchatzu. But it says yirchatzu, which includes new stuff. Umari, so okay, it includes new stuff, so maybe you should include the washing cup from your house. How do you know that it includes only the special kalim from the Beis Hamikdash? Says Gemara, because it makes a lot of sense that Tom Mashiach Kamayu was in Tom Mashiach Kamayu. There's a difference. One needs the anointment of the oil, the special oil in the Beis Hamikdash, and one doesn't. The one from your house doesn't have any kedusha. This one does have kedusha. It makes sense that you can use this one for your hands and your feet. Amr Shlokish. If you have a mikvah needs 40 saw, let's say you have 39 saw, you're stuck, you don't have water. What do? You take snow, you can take ice, even salt, even very fine mud. You have a kiyar. The kiyar, we said, how much water do you need a kiyar, Rabbi Isai? 4 people. You have three people's worth. So what do? Dump a bunch of snow in there, ice, salt. It's good. Call hamashlim mikvah. If it's good enough for a mikvah, it's good for a kiyar. L'revius ain't a mashlim. But for netilas yadayim, you have to wash your hands before you eat bread or whatever it is. You cannot. You have a revius. You cannot add snow. L'mutei mai, Leiba. You're talking about liquid mud. What kind of mud are we talking about? Here we have a picture, a real picture, not an AI picture. I guess cows are known to drink from the mud. So if the cow would bend down and drink from it, in other words, it's water more than mud, why can't you use it for your Natil Sadaim? Looks perfect to me. If it's too thick and even a cow won't drink it, then it's no good for a mikvah. What's the yavchushin adumim? Says Rashi, it's small little insects like one minute. Rashi says it's mosquitoes, red mosquitoes without wings. But the article says it's more like it starts out like larvae, like worms. So afilu beinayunami, a mikvah of these yavchushim, you could dunk in the mikvah, a whole mikvah of it. Afilu beinayunami, even if they're there, if the whole mikvah is made out of this stuff, you're allowed to. Why? From the water. Anything that was created initially from the water, maybe the pshat is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created from the water. Whatever the pshat is, they're born in the water like a fish. You can be toivel in the eye itself. Why? Because the eye itself, it's a creature that was created from water, in water. So maybe you're allowed to be toivel in the yavchushin adumim too. So what's going on here? What is it coming to exclude? You say that but you can't do Natil Sedayim. What is it coming to exclude? So it's gewaldig over here. It goes like this. Think about it. If you have a mikvah of 40 saw, Rabbi say 40 saw. What's 40 saw? It's kosher. You go and you take 1 saw of orange juice and you pour it in. Is the mikvah kosher or not kosher? Kosher. Why is it kosher? Because it's bottle. It's all bottle. Then you genius, when you mix it up, it goes through the filter. Now everything turns slightly yellow, and you take 1 saw out of the mikvah. Now you have how many saw in the mikvah? 40. In the saw that you took out is a little bit of orange juice and mostly water. But l'maiset, right now, in your mikvah, you don't have 40 saw of water. Some of it is orange juice, because you took out water and orange juice before. Now you do it all over again. You pour 1 saw of orange juice into there. Kosher or not kosher? It's good. It's good. In other words, because it became bottle. It became part of the mikvah. It is a mikvah. You do it again. Could you do it forever? No. Until there's a roiv. So in other words, you can do it like 20 times, something like that. You go 20 in and out until you get to the point where most of the water is gone. Then it's no good anymore. That halacha Rabbi Yisai is only in a mikvah and a kiyar. So in a kiyar, you need for 4 people. You need 4 people's worth of water. Comes a guy and pours orange juice into the kiyar. Is it kosher? Yes. he puts a gallon of orange juice and takes out a gallon from the kiyur. Kosher, yes, until you get down to the roiv. But if you do it in a revius, you have a washing cup, and you're trying to wash your hands from the netilas yadayim, and you pour a little bit of orange juice in there to get up to the revius, to get a little bit more than the revius, and then you take out a spoonful of water/orange juice, you ruined your cup. That trick does not work on the netilas yadayim. Why? Because a revius is such a small amount, it doesn't have the power to be mevatel other liquids. Here's the case. You have 10 lines from the bottom. So you have 40 saw exactly. Nosan saw, he put a 1 saw of orange juice or any kind of liquid that's possible for a mikveh, any juice. V'natal saw, and then he removed 1 saw. Harei ze kosher, it's a kosher mikveh. Why? Because it's bottle. You can do this up until the point that it's a roiv. And that's what? That's only for a mikveh and a kiyar, limu'ute netilas yadayim, that you can't do it. Rabbi, we have another video coming up. If he made a hole in the mikveh wall, and there's a revius of water in that hole, even if the water is seated downwards, there's mikveh water in the wall. Mikveh water is good for the kiyur. In other words, what kind of water goes into the kiyur? You could understand that it's meimayon, it's spring water. No, even mikveh water. In other words, what does mikveh water mean? Any water, even sink water. So you're telling me you don't need spring water, you don't need mayim chayim for kiyur. But you wash in the Beis Hamikdash, you take the carbon, you take the innards out, you wash the innards. It's one of the processes that you do there for the carbon of the tamid. You wash the innards and its feet, its legs. What kind of water? Do not use, if you get bored and you don't have water over there, don't start using Castell on the thing. Mazug is diluted wine. The one that was added, some water was added to it. Sink water. You're allowed to use sink water. And certainly make kiyur. Now, what does a kavachomer mean? Not only sink water, but certainly mekir water, which would mean that mekir water is different than sink water. That mekir has spring water, and that's why it's a kavachomer. Ma kavachomer lemekir. Lav de ma'im chayim ninu? Loi, de kaddish. No, it's sink water, but because it went into the kiyar, it has special kedusha, and certainly you can use that to wash off a carbon. Says the Gemara, because it has kedusha, it's better. But Torah the Rebbe Shmuel, Mayim. It says in the pasuk, Mayim, just water. Shelim Shem Levai. It doesn't have a second name to it. Yotzu Meikir Shelim Shem Levai. But Meikir Elolav says the Gemara Deruim LeMeikir. It doesn't. The water didn't enter the kir yet. It's spring water about to go into the kir. Because if it's sink water, there would be no kavachomer. Ama Mayim Chayim. In other words, what's a kavachomer? You can use sink water, and certainly sink water that's about to go into the kiyar. Why? Why is that a certainly? And certainly spring water that's about to go into the kiyar, because it's spring water, so of course you can use it for the carbon. Tanai, may kiyar. This machlokes, what kind of water is in the kiyar? Rabbi Shmuel Omer may mayon hein. It's water that comes from a spring. Have a wonderful Yom Tov.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDAF.com.